ISO FileMaker Magazine, the professional's resource for FileMaker know-how.
Hey there, and welcome back to yet another FileMaker tutorial video. My name is Matt Petrowski, bringing you these tutorials from my website, FileMakerMagazine.com. In this video, we are taking a look at making sure that we set up our environment so that we can work as efficiently as possible as a developer. Let's head to my desktop, take a look at the file. All right, thanks for joining me here. And if you are new to this series, I am basically going step by step building out a file. In particular, this file that we have on screen, I've got it called Launcher, and what it is more or less a replacement for what we find right here. Now, FileMaker brings up its own launcher area. This is the FileMaker 22 version, and in previous versions, it looked a little bit different. But essentially what you can do is you can control the color, not the color, but an icon and then this file. But you really get no arrangement capability. You can't move things around. You just get a listing, as I highlighted there, of just files. You can maintain a collection of different FileMaker servers, but in essence, what we're looking for is full control ourselves as a developer, where we have a FileMaker file and we can, I click on these and you can see that this one, for example, does not have the little launch icon. This one does. We're going to talk about this throughout the course of this series. Maybe if you want to go even more into more of a deep dive, then I will be doing some Google Meets that you will be able to sign up for that, some real-time live courses, things where we discuss problems that you may be having with your own FileMaker solutions. But you can see right here, I can select this, and this will just open up this particular solution. Now, what we're going to talk about in this series is that it is possible for me to actually have this launcher behave in a way that when I click this, for example, if I click down here at the bottom and if I just go admin and admin, I believe I'm logged in. And you can see that I am logged into the launcher file as admin now. And some FileMaker developers don't know this, but whenever one file is opened with credentials, those credentials can be passed along to other files. So if I click this little launcher icon now, that file is just going to open up. And that is because that this particular file, which these files are the ones that I'm going to be showing you. There's a number of them. They're all linked right here, just the different example files. I had worked on them with iSolutions, and they were created as templates. You can get those over at templates.fm. But that's the purpose of a launcher, is the ability to filter these down according to certain groupings, make this launcher, and really improve it. I created it a long time ago, and I am going to be walking through all of the aspects. Now, the first aspect, and what this video is about, is this right here. When we select tools, one of two tools that you use every day in development are the script debugger and the data viewer. Now, you notice that FileMaker does not provide the ability for us to have shortcut keys. Now, on the Macintosh, we have the ability to assign these if we want to in the keyboard area. Let me show you that. All right, so many of you may already know about this. If you are new to FileMaker, then maybe you didn't know that it exists, but you can see here in the settings area of the Macintosh. Down here at the bottom, we have the keyboard. Now, in the area, there is one right here called keyboard shortcuts. When we select on this, we are able to then scroll down to the area right here of app shortcuts. When we select on that, you can see that currently there are no applications that are specified in order to have shortcuts. Now, I could walk through the process of adding FileMaker. I would basically click this, then I would have to select this. FileMaker may not show up, and if it does not, we have to go all the way to the bottom and select Other. Now, that would be the normal process that we would use in order to add a bunch of shortcut keys, and essentially all you have to really do as I close the settings, because we're going to do this in a magic way, all you have to really know is whatever the name of the menu is. So in this case, we've got script space debugger. We've got data space viewer. Now, you notice that some of the menus have these little items at the end. It's not a period, period, period. It's actually a single character called an ellipse, if you don't already know that. And we need to have that be installed. Now, these are the two most critical menus that I use on a daily basis when working in FileMaker. But it's not the only place. There is also over here this critical area where you are constantly getting in and out of these different dialogues, in particular the script workspace, the database dialog, but more importantly, you need to be able to access your security. You're setting up value lists. You are many times dealing with custom menus. And then some of the lesser used is themes, custom functions, highly used in my development, and external data sources if you're using a separation model. I like to have keys on all of these. Now, in the past, I created a tool in FileMaker that allowed you to dynamically or randomly choose whatever you want to set. I have not maintained that tool because there's actually an easier way to do this, and once you get your keys set up, it's pretty nice and easy to run a particular command. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the terminal, and I am going to clear that and bring that on screen here so that we can see what's going on. So there is my terminal. And this is just so that I'm going to be very thorough. I'm going to show you every aspect of how things work when I show you things so that you have an understanding and not just do them. If I just do them, then it really doesn't benefit you. It's the foundation that you need. Now, in this launcher, which what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be providing you with a tool. Now, I'm so familiar with FileMaker that I really don't like to see the steps on the side here. So these two items allow us to collapse areas. I'm going to collapse that one. You can see that I could collapse this one, but there's really no point. You always need to access your scripts in your files. But in this particular script, which what we're going to make note of is this is a special script, and I suggest that you do this in your own files, because what happens is when you get a lot of scripts, and let me collapse all of these with an option key, that's the option back arrow, which will collapse all of them. You can see that the list here isn't too extensive. There's not a whole lot going on. But if you put a script up at the very top, and you treat this script as a place to just experiment and throw in some code, it's very, very easy to simply right-click this and choose the duplicate option, name it to what the script is, and then put that script wherever it needs to be within your organization down here below within your folders. Sandbox is the way that I code. I basically, when I have an idea and I'm coming up with a new feature, this script is always up at the top. And beyond that, what we're able to do, if I turn on the little menu here, is oftentimes I don't typically have all of my scripts. I don't have them checked where all of these will show up. If you don't know this, this particular checkbox correlates to when you're in the file to these numbers right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So whichever script shows up first, if it's checked, you can see 2.0 changelog sandbox. So essentially what I do is, because sandbox is up at the top, what this does is it makes it very convenient when I'm in the solution while I'm testing to just be able to use command 1. It's command 1 runs my sandbox, command 1. So run test, run develop test, run develop test. Basically repeating that sequence. You can also see that I have a relogin, which is basically specific to this particular launcher if you're using multiple methods of authentication, which we'll get into as we go through the series. But looking at the sandbox script, this script is going to insert all of my keys. Everything that I assign to a menu in FileMaker is all right here in this one step. So let's go through this so that you can set up the keys that you want. And I'm just going to be focusing on the two that I talked about, the script debugger and the data viewer. So insert text. In old FileMaker, insert text did not have the ability to actually assign a target to a variable, but it does now. And insert text is one of the best ways to store XML, shell commands, HTML, all kinds of things, because it's just a text block, even some not JavaScript, JSON. So when we open this up by double-clicking and look at specify, one of them that we're going to see right here is data viewer. So there it is. And if I scroll this down, I will essentially get to script debugger. So you can see that I like to assign, in this particular case, the caret or the power symbol stands for Control B. So I'm doing it for debugger is what I actually correlate to. And then up here with the data viewer, that also is the control key, and it's control D. Now, all of these funky characters in here that we see, if I close this out, we can see that we've got a legend right here that the command key correlates to the @ symbol, the shift key is the $sign, the control is that power, and then we've got the tilde for the option key. So all this is a listing of the names of the menus. If I wanted to go up to FileMaker and close this out, and let's say the window command, I want to assign to the hide window, I want a new command. All I have to do is go into this particular area right here. I could put a hide window as long as it's typed exactly the same. I must put exactly one space and then another set of quotes, exactly another space, and then a backslash. Now, just to explain this briefly, what we're going to be doing is running this as a shell command. And what happens is on the shell over here in the terminal, when you have a particular command, it is basically binary space and then argument. Let's call it argument 1 and let's call it argument 2, etc. Everything on the command line is space delimited, so that's why we have those spaces. Now, if I have a command that I want to compose where it's going to be on multiple lines, then if the shell sees that there is a space backslash, it's indicating to the shell, hey, there's going to be another line coming up. It's the line after this line. And that's what allows you to put multiple commands or be able to format things such that you can see things on a line-by-line basis rather than having this extremely super long string. Because essentially what it would be is this is one piece of what the particular binary tool wants. This then must follow that. It always comes in pairs for this particular binary tool, which we're going to see. So all I would need to do is put whatever combination I want based on the little legend that I have right there. Let's, I don't know, you always have to be careful that you're not going to walk over something else, but let's do a command control H right there. And I don't know if that's actually taken, but we'll put that in and leave it there just in case. So what the script is going to do is first you are going to set up and manage all of your keys. Then you are going to create a variable, which we're doing right here. We're just simply saying set the variable of shortcuts to this particular command. So this is the command right here. The binary is called defaults. And anytime you're working with a command, you can always type in man over here, which is short for manual. So if I type manual defaults, I am going to get all kinds of information here about what this particular command expects. Man is just the key word to know. It's not help, it's man for manual. And we can always get out of this at any point in time from right here by hitting Q for quit. Q is pretty much universal in a lot of the command or in a lot of the shell. So you can see that it's going to show you a custom dialog of a terminal command, and it's going to say copy this terminal. So let's go run this. I am going to simply run this script, and we'll save all. And there it is right there. It's just a dialog that comes up. And this is the command right here. If I hit the arrow key and scroll down, you can see that each one of these are on their own line. So if I have all of this selected, which it initially was, and I simply just hit Command or Control C, in this case on the Mac, you wouldn't be doing Control C because you're not on Windows. But if we go over to the terminal now, and I simply just paste this in, if everything goes well, as expected, and I hit return and I get no errors, what happens is I just assigned all keys to FileMaker. So they were stored in FileMaker, and I have now assigned them to FileMaker into the specific FileMaker application. And as we already talked about this before, did the ... But let's go ahead and run that command again over in FileMaker so that we can see this. You can see that from the very first video that we talked about in this series, the preferences file that's storing a lot of information about FileMaker that we're interested in many cases is right there. So we're using the defaults application to write to the FileMaker Pro file. Let's see if I can get one more line to come up. This particular entry, which is NS user key equivalence. Now, this is not something I'm going to talk about a lot, but if you ever get into developing and using FileMaker and learning how to create a standalone application using FileMaker, using the iOS SDK, NS is just basically Apple uses a lot of these different prefixes. They're shorthand prefixes for whatever the area is of development within the whole of the framework that they provide for the operating system, whether it's iOS or macOS, which is actually converging. So user key equivalence is what we're setting to. We're setting it as a dictionary, and all it is it's a pair. It's the name of the menu and then the key that you want. Name of the menu, key that you want. Name of the menu, and as we saw, we put them on individual lines. And when we run that command, what we can do now is we can quit FileMaker, which I will quit FileMaker. And I will now open that back up. We'll type in FileMaker. We'll open up FileMaker 22. That will open up. We'll move to FileMaker 22. We'll open the launcher. As FileMaker decides to actually connect, we'll put in the password. We already know and talked about the preferences. Yes, I know that the MBS isn't installed, but if everything went as expected, you can see that the keys now are assigned. Control B, Control D. And if we go look at our file menu right there, we've got key equivalents assigned for all of these. Now, for the closing out of this particular video, there's only a few keys that I'm going to go through. You are going to get access to this file if you are a subscriber to the magazine, or if you've decided to partake in the course where I am offering the meetup groups. All this content is being provided for free on FileMaker, but the file, and as I progress through the file, is going to be available to subscribers only. So, while I will be giving you this information and showing you everything about how it works, if you want to really get into this particular series and also learn just a ton of other information, I've got probably over 1,000 videos over on the magazine website, then I highly suggest you go subscribe to FileMaker Magazine. Less than the cost of 1 hour of a probably a mid-level developer. For 1 year, hundreds of thousands of useful pieces for working and developing in FileMaker. So, what we're going to be getting as a result of this is that particular script and your ability to go through, look at all of the keys, and assign them whatever you want. Now, one thing I should mention that I didn't hear is you see all of these escaped characters right here. These are Unicode formattings, or I don't know if Unicode is the right word for this, but essentially the ellipse. You remember the character that I talked about, the ... Well, that's what this is. Custom menus. This identifies that ellipse character of ... And then I've assigned the command, and then I do have to, here's an interesting thing. On the shell, I should say, and whenever I say shell, I'm basically talking about a terminal over here. The terminal, the $ is a special character. So over here in our commands, when we're looking at that custom menus, this $, which is also used according to our legend as the shift key, so this is Command Shift M in order to get into custom menus, it has to be escaped. So that backslash is escaping that $ from the shell so that it gets passed through to the defaults application. So what we're going to learn is throughout this course, there are things, the language and the syntax in particular used by the language, many times you have to escape things in order to make sure that when you're going through one language into another language, in this case, going from the shell to the binary of the defaults application, we have to escape the $, where sometimes we will have code that we are taking it from a different language, like maybe HTML or something else, and we have to escape that in FileMaker. So if you're a beginning developer, learning how to use an escape sequence, or that's what I know it as, learning how to escape certain characters, that's what we're going to learn about. Long story short, it's basically there's a function called quote within FileMaker. So that is what we have for this particular video. And what we're going to be talking about in the next video is setting ourselves up for success with regards to being a developer. So I am going to provide the launcher file as I develop the file. This file I'm not going to just drop and immediately make available. I am going to be taking pieces from it as we build that file out. And the first piece is going to be this sandbox code with this ability to actually have that file. And the next thing that's going to be in there is the debug menu. Now, I always want to have tools that make it easy for me to develop as a developer while I'm developing, that makes it faster and easier, such that I'm not in FileMaker going up to this file menu, going over to this, going over to here to security. Nope. I need to get in this. I just do Command-Shift-A, and I'm into my accounts. I need the database. I'm in the database. I need scripts. I'm in the scripts. I close that out. I need menus. I'm in the menus. I need custom functions. I'm there. The key sequence is what really makes it work, and this is where I'm going to leave you with in this particular video. One of the most valuable key sequences that I use when designing in FileMaker, and one of the wonderful things about FileMaker, I don't even know that Claris, I'm pretty sure they sort of know that what they have here, but what this is just a palette. It's a palette to design software that comes with an amazing capability with the data management and the data organization just available underneath as the foundation of whatever software you're creating. There really aren't too many other environments that are as cool as this in terms of being able to have the UI component and the data component and being able to work with them together. But these are the keys that are the most valuable to me, other than the data viewer and the debugger, and being able to get into those really quickly, because the data viewer, you're constantly composing code, and the debugger, you're constantly troubleshooting what it is you're working on. That's the first valuable ones. The second most valuable ones are these combinations right here. And I'm going to show you why. The align and the distribute, that's actually the align and then the resize to, where I've got smallest width, smallest height, largest, and etc. These key combinations are so valuable because they allow me to very rapidly work within the user interface. And here's just one example. I am going to put a button on my UI here because I need a new button, and it's going to do whatever it's going to do. But what I have now is I have a situation where I need to integrate this button into my user interface. Let's say that I want this button right next to this button, but I also want it to fit my user interface where this button is my frame of reference for what this button needs to be. Now, it won't work right here because the word all is shorter, where whatever is long, so I'm just going to change that to nice. Well, I don't have to do a whole lot of dragging and arranging, and I don't have to use this over here where I select this one and I select this one with the shift key, and then I go over to this particular palette. Is that where it is? No. Is it here? Is it here? Oh, it's probably right here. It is the arrange and the align. I sort of understand these icons, but what I can do is I have these keyboard shortcuts assigned such that the mnemonic that I use allows me to avoid having to do what I was just doing right there. For me, once I have my button, I select my reference object and I go boom, boom, like that. 2 keys instantly, where I resize to the smallest height and I resize to the smallest width. I can now also move this up with another keyboard shortcut. That was the Command-Option-Up arrow, which aligns it up to the top. So 3 keyboard shortcuts took me from having a button that was like this to where's my reference object? Okay, this has the size and width I want, and I go boom, 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 and it is instantly there. Then all I have to do is drag that in, and it's right there next to the button that I want. This is the value of taking the time to assign, number 1, and then 2, practice. That's the one thing I want you to take away from this video, is look at the keyboard shortcuts that I've given you. You don't have to use the same thing that I'm using, but spend the time, and if you can, assign a keyboard shortcut and then practice and work with it, because it makes it so much easier and nicer in order to get things done in your user interface, where you can assign things and get them exactly where you want them very quickly, and you're not wasting a lot of time hunting for things in menus and also hunting for things over in palettes. You've created a system that allows you to go quickly. So that's all for this particular video. I'd like to wish you much luck with your FileMaker development, and we will see you in the next lesson about this series about developing this launcher tool. Much luck and happy FileMaking.
We hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial, and we'd like to say thank you for your subscription and your support. If you're not already a subscriber, head on over to www.filemakermagazine.com/subscribe for more information about the benefits of joining.